Least. Let's get to some more action from Sunday. The Colts and
the issue now is becoming how much what's going to happen to CJ Stroud. Like, he's out there getting beat up, and this offensive line is having some protection issues, obviously, on the interior. This is just 2 plays of the many that CJ was getting rid of the ball. Some of his throwing motion is being affected, and here they lose DeForest Buckner. I don't know how in the hell you lose DeForest Buckner. He's one of the biggest humans on earth. Plus, we probably should protect the middle of the line of scrimmage against him, of all people. And this is what CJ Stroud is dealing with. I'm telling everybody in America right now that's watching the Houston Texans play, thank God for your quarterback. Thank God he has a quick release. Thank God that he has some pocket maneuverability, because this offensive line now for the last few weeks have been getting it handed to them. It's weird because they doing some successful things on the ground. They can't protect the pass to save their life.
yeah, we'll see if they can get that fixed. Good point, Sweat.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to highlight. I mean, I'm going to talk about this whole game, but that's the thing, because they're doing some good things for their, in the run game, but it's their pass block that has been awful. But I mean, at this point, you kind of have to give it up to Mixon, because he's just able to kind of overcome it. Because I even wrote it at the bottom, like, at the end of the day, after I watch this whole game, it's just nothing is easy, right? Stroud constantly making something out of nothing, right? Same with Mixon runs, right? Nothing easy. There's just 0 easy drives, and that becomes too difficult, right? It's like it's just constantly walking up a steep hill. I mean, this game, when you look at it, when you really break it down, it's kind of bonkers. It's insane. The Colts, Anthony Richardson, 10 for 32, 175 yards, 5.5 yards per attempt, and a 48 rating. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 2 fumbles. They were 2 for 13 on third down and 9 penalties. And yet the score was 23-20. I mean, that's wild. That is truly wild. It can't even be argued against, right? Even if we want to say injury and stuff like that, which, I agree with everything that he said, right? Really 100%. I'm not rejecting that one bit. And you guys know I'm a huge supporter of the Houston Texans and see them as a top contender. But when you're able to get that out of that quarterback like that, I don't care if you have no offensive line, the game shouldn't come down to this. And that is just CJ Stroud's brilliance. And it does make me question, like, what are they doing with this game plan? Even though the O-line isn't good, what are you doing to help try to work around this a little bit? And sometimes it's unworkable. But here's the reality. CJ Stroud should have enough people to throw to at the very least be able to have some band-aids. And I understand he's down Nico as well. I understand that. But this is where exceptional coaching can really step up. Because we saw this with Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford when their O-line went down, and they were down Puka Nacua, but they still had Cooper Kupp. I forget when Cooper Kupp went down, if it was week 1 or week 2, or was at the very end of the game, whatever it may be. But he was still able to get the ball out. He was still able to make something happen. When you're down an O-line and no weapons, then it's game, set, match. I don't care who the coach is, who the quarterback is. It's brutal, right? I mean, a quarterback can only do so much, and a coach can only do so much. But if you at least have some pieces to throw to, right? And you even have Mixon in that regard, right? You have Tank Dell. I understand Diggs went down, but prior to that, you have Diggs. Like, you should be able to kind of navigate this in a little bit more successful fashion, right? At least from my viewpoint. So again, I get that it's not perfect. I get that it's not going to look dominant. I get that it's not going to look like what it would look like when you're fully healthy. But from my viewpoint, considering how great I think some of these pieces are, a lot of these pieces are, it should look less difficult to me, right? That's just ultimately what I'm seeing. I mean, 29 carries for 96 rushing, not bad, not terrible, not great either. Stroud, 25 for 37, 285 yards, and a touchdown, 99 rating. It's pretty remarkable considering what he's being asked to do right now. And I'm a fan of Bobby Slowick, and so I would love to hear Travis O'Shea's opinions on this. If it is just more of an issue of injury, if it is an issue of offensive coordinator, and my gut tells me it's probably a little bit of everything. I think younger coordinators are not going to be as skillful at overcoming injuries. I think they're really great when you give them great healthy pieces to kind of move around, but being able to kind of hide inefficiencies and inadequacies is something that seasoned veteran coaches can do. The Sean McVays, the Shanahans, the Andy Reids of the world. And then I think that is a separate skill entirely. And so I think that this is probably some growing pains of Bobby Slowick. Or again, maybe it's just the way how the injuries are and just the quality of players, at least at the O-line, is just, you can't do it unless you're full strength from an offensive weapon standpoint. I don't know. I kind of go back and forth. Now that's why I'm curious how Houston Texans fans feel, quite frankly. Like, what is your read in this? Because the Texans keep getting uglier wins than I think they should, even with the injuries. I think that's really what what I can, conclude ultimately from watching all of these games throughout this season. But there's still a lot to love, right? CJ Stroud spreading the ball around, 9 different receivers. I love that, but I would still also like to see him. And again, I know it's a little bit difficult with injuries, but try to find the guys that you really trust, right? Try to find your security blanket when you don't have a Nico, right? Or if you are struggling with all these pressures and stuff, right? Like, find that security blanket, which again, it's a tall task because you have Nico go down, you have the run game go away for a few weeks because Mixon goes down, you have Diggs now, right, going down. Like, so I get it. It's a tough thing to overcome, but it's what's necessary, right? Like, it's one of those things where I know it sounds cliche, but it's like you kind of have to find a way, which again, I know is easier said than done. But the touchdown pass to Tank Dell, just a beautiful soft touch, right? I mean, that's the stuff that you love to see from this offense, from this team. You have such a special quarterback in CJ Stroud that if you could just support him like 5% more than what you're doing, it's just, let's go, right? Even though you're not fully healthy, you're still able to rip off these wins. And then when you are fully healthy, we're going to hit the ground running, right? But that's not how this season unfolded, even when fully healthy. So it's a question. It's definitely a question. I believe they will be able to right this ship, but it's a question mark. And if the injuries keep piling up, what are you going to do? I mean, I think they need to find a way to make these game plans smoother. They need from my viewpoint as well, there seems to be some, even when they're ready to go, they seem ill-prepared at key moments, right? Turning the ball over, fumbled snap, whatever it may be, missed field goal, drop pass, right? There's like failure of preparation, which I find hard to believe because I believe D'Amico is getting those guys ready. So like, that's what then also confuses me a little bit, because they should be ready. Like, nobody should outwork them, out hustle them. So it's like, where is some of these deficits coming from? Is it a lack of belief in what they can do? Is it just the fact that this team historically, which I don't really believe, I don't buy in that, so there's no point in me even saying it, but like this idea that the Texans have not been good in the past, so they'll never be, like, I don't believe in that, because I think it's a new regime, it's a new great quarterback, new coaching staff, great pieces, great weapons, right? I think that the culture has turned over. So I'm just curious where this lack of ability to execute is coming from. And like I said, it's more than just injuries, right? And I will always use the Kansas City Chiefs. I know I bring them up a lot in videos, but it's just because they're the gold standard. They have all these injuries, but nobody could say that they're ill prepared. Nobody could say that they're not ready for the moment when the moment calls onto them. I can't say that about the Houston Texans right now. And that's what it takes. That is what it's going to take. The AFC, from my viewpoint, is wide open. I do not think the Chiefs are a juggernaut. I do not think the Bills are a juggernaut. I do not think the Ravens are a juggernaut. The AFC is open. It's open. The number 1 or number 2 seed, at the very least, the number 2 seed is there for the taking. Games like this, again, I know there's injuries. I know it. So you don't have to come running to the comments and say injuries, injuries, injuries. I get it. I get it. I do. 100%. But you just, the Colts are not this juggernaut of a team. Anthony Richardson, you know what I mean? Like that's what I'm trying to highlight. Yes, the injuries, but also you have Anthony Richardson going for 10 for 32. I mean, I don't care how many injuries you got. Like, that is a gift. 10 for 32? 175 yards, 5.5 yards per attempt, a 48 rating, 1 interception and 2 fumbles. 2 for 13 on third down, 9 penalties. Those are gifts that even with the injuries, you should be able to find a way to take advantage of. So that's what I'm trying. Like, these have been multiple games with the Texans recently that I'm like trying to like figure out like where is this quicksand coming from? Because it's not just injuries. It's not just injuries. So yeah, I'm trying to reconcile with, and that's why I really would love to hear the thoughts of true Texans fans, right? What are you guys thinking? Do you think it's coaching? Do you think it's injuries? Do you think it's just is what it is right now at this point in the season? Would love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.